Hello everyone. This is a recap of the presentation made to the Lake Worth Commission at their June 3rd meeting, and the audio quality there was pretty spotty. The recording is available online about 24 minutes into the June 3rd meeting if you care to look at that, but this is hopefully a better audio and a better communication to those who are interested in learning about this project. The Historical Society of Lake Worth is an organization well known in the area for researching, preserving, and memorializing our local history, self-knowledge. And without history, we understand neither ourselves nor neighbors very well. So this particular project is for the Jewell Post Office Memorial and James Homestead, and we'll go through a little bit of the history and the proposal being made for that site. Fannie and Samuel James are well known as the first American settlers within the current city limits of Lake Worth. They came down here in 1885 from Virginia and North Carolina via Tallahassee and Cocoa in Florida. They were nicknamed the Black Diamonds due to their Negro heritage. Actually, both of them were mixed race with Irish mothers and African American fathers. In 1889, Fannie James opened the first post office in the area that she named Jewell, spelled with two L's. The proposal for the site amounts to a frame to mark the location and the approximate configuration of the house. We'll get into this more as we go along. And the location would be in South Bryant Park at 5th Avenue South, and the Intracoastal near the current picnic shelter and playground is marked in yellow on the map here. A little bit of background on the history of the site. Before the city of Lake Worth existed, there was an Everglades community of pioneers called Jewell, who were basically farmers who took out 160-acre or so lots under the Federal Homestead Act. Thanks to the information available at the National Archive, we were able to trace down the exact location of the James homestead in the future Lake Worth. Came into section 27, lots 1 through 4 on the survey, and this is what's outlined here in red all along the waterfront, a mile of waterfront property from approximately Lake Avenue down to 12th Avenue South, and they had 187 acres, taking into consideration the meanders of the shoreline. In our research, we came across a lot of interesting finds, including this receipt where Samuel James received full title to his property in 1886. Then, focusing in on county records, we were able to locate the James homestead more accurately. When the Jameses got title to their property, they subdivided it and sold off various sections to Palm Beachers on spec or to a few local residents who lived on or farmed the land. In this map, the site of the James homestead was the area that they did not sell to others, is marked in red, and the small area in pink there adjacent on the waterfront was sold to Amanda Moore, and it's the current site of the Birthday Cake Castle, which was the first residential lot along the waterfront there, and this helps us to identify the location in great detail and certainty. Then we were also able to find the original post office application that Fannie James entered, and in 1889, after being here 4 years, and she first named the site, or was thinking of naming the site, La Paz, and later Deer Park, but finally crossed that out and later decided on Jewell. We really don't know where the name Jewell came from, if it represented someone's last name, which seems likely, but we haven't been able to identify the source. The post office application shows the approximate site of the post office. You can see section 27 and the meandering shoreline on the map. The dotted line represents approximately 6th Avenue South, splitting the section in half, so we can see that Jewell was north of 6th Avenue there. Mail delivery in those early days was by boat, and the mailman would go from post office to post office and gather the mail, and then turn it over to the barefoot mailman, who famously walked 3 days to Miami, collected the mail there, walked 3 days back, and had Sundays off. The Jewell Post Office was on that barefoot mailman route. This is the site as it looks today, seeing the picnic pavilion and the lawn and the seawall and the Intracoastal in the distance. There is a historical sign erected by the Florida Society, Florida Department of State, and it was in conjunction with our Historical Society, giving the details of the James Homestead and Post Office as important parts of Lake Worth's history before the birth of the city in 1885. Close-up of the sign. In the picnic pavilion, there is a colorful ceramic monument to the community of Jewell, showing the agricultural society, the animal life, and the activities of that early community of pioneers. And the homestead site is adjacent to that, so there would be a little, if this proposal is granted, there would be a little aggregate of monuments there marking our original founding of the site in Jewell as Jewell. Been used for educational purposes with children's programs, and certainly would serve that purpose all much better if the frame structure was erected on the site. The land then was eventually sold by the farmers that made up the Jewell community to the Palm Beach Farms Company. In 1912, they platted and formed the city, which was incorporated in 1913. And then the city grew out of the Everglades very rapidly at that time. More information on the history of the Jewell can be found in the book Pioneers of Jewell, that tells about the founding of the community, more history on the Jameses and the other residents of the area. Now turning our attention to the details on the proposal to memorialize the site, we're considering an aluminum frame structure 14 by 30 feet, and it would be similar to the Ben Franklin structure in Philadelphia, which marks the site of the Ben Franklin House, was demolished before 1800, but has been memorialized here by the National Park Service. Some other perspectives on that Ben Franklin frame structure. So the proposed structure would be adjacent to the existing historical marker, so there wouldn't be need for a lot of explanation about what it represented, and it's near the picnic pavilion with a mural as well. John Endershot drew these renderings, which would of course need to be turned over to an architect for further elaboration and details on the construction, but give some idea of the frame without walls or roof. So the construction specs and permitting, of course, would have to be done in conjunction with city staff, an architect and engineer that we would retain that would determine the particulars of the structure. This proposal is a collaboration of many community groups, including the MLK Committee, Healthier Lake Worth Beach, Lake Worth Rotary, NEST, which is a group of local citizens interested in Bryant Park and the tree planting in the park, as well as the Historical Society of Palm Beach County has lent their support to this project. Funding prospects include the Community Foundation and other local entities. The proposed process would be approval in concept by the Commission and consent to work with the building department to produce the necessary documents, get feedback from the community, submission and approval of detailed plans, and finally a budget, fundraising, and a party. Thanks to the mayor and commission and staff for your time and consideration, and we look forward to input from the community at an upcoming commission meeting. Thank you.